What up, Screen Fiends? I'm GB, and you're tuned in to Headz TV, where we like to discuss all the wonderful things appearing on your movie and your TV screens. In this episode, I'm going to give my review of the last episode of Preacher. That's going to be Season 2, Episode 7, titled Pig. Alright, so another solid episode of Preacher. This season has been so entertaining. Even if I was not a fan of the source material, I would still be disengaged with the show, making videos every day, whatever. Season 1 was good to me, but it was very slow, and if you didn't know what kind of was in store for you in the future, it was kind of hard to be sucked in by it. But now Season 2, whether you know the source material or not, I can't see you not being sucked in. Alright, so let's start with the character that I know everyone is going to be the most intrigued about, everyone's going to be talking about, and everyone's going to want to hear me talk about first. And that's going to be ARE Star. I did a video, the predictions for this video, I didn't really talk about him much. And I still don't want to divulge too much about him because I have a feeling that the way Preacher is going to get down is they're going to give us bits and pieces of everyone's backstory and their secret past. As the show goes, and that's for everybody. Cassidy, Jesse, Tulip, all of them. So I don't want to give too much about the past because I don't want to spoil anything they're going to divulge through flashbacks. And I don't want to tell you anything about the future because obviously that's spoiler heavy. So I'm going to just try and give you a little bit of insight into the present of these characters in various videos. I'll probably do one just on ARE Star and the Grail after this one, but just pertaining to this episode, you kind of get a sense for how badass ARE Star is. And the casting on this show is amazing. Everybody that's cast so far. But ARE Star, I mean, if you look at the comic book, it's like they pulled the actor right out of the page. And he's really playing the role the way you would think ARE Star, would behave. So kudos to the writing team and the actor that plays ARE Star. Okay, so you may be asking why he is the way he is. Now, like I said, I'm not going to tell you why he is the way he is, but I'll give you a little bit more insight into it. So he's a sadist, he's a masochist, he gets his jollies off of pain inflicted on himself as well as pain inflicted on others. So a lot of the things that were happening in this episode are indicative of that. That's why he was able to excel in all these things, because he gets joy out of humiliation. So taking it out and beating it in front of everyone meant nothing to him other than, like the guy in charge says, a distraction, right? He has no scruples. So just interrogating the woman instead of schmoozing her and taking 10 minutes to get her to agree to meet him somewhere, he goes right at it, instead of shooting the target, he shoots his competition. Once he gets the job, he throws his boss out the window so he could become the boss. Like, this is the type of guy he is. And not only is he this way, but he actually enjoys this sort of thing. I guarantee you that throughout all of the stuff we saw him do in this episode, he was getting a little chubby, if you know what I mean, downstairs. It gave him the feels and the tingles, like when we used to climb the ropes in gym class, right? So, that's just to give you a little bit more insight into why he was able to do things and why he did do things the way that he did. Now, why he's a sadist and a masochist, like I said, that really goes into his past. I don't want to get into that too much. But just to talk about the Grail real quick, and they divulge, everything I'm going to say right now, they divulge in the episode, but if you weren't paying close attention, or if you're not somebody who's sucked in by the dialogue of the scene, you may have missed it. So what the Grail is doing is they basically have descendants of Jesus. That's all I'll say about that. Wait till you meet some of those descendants of Jesus. Just wait till you meet them. I'm sure you will. So what they're doing is they're trying to preserve the bloodline of Jesus And at the same time, they're getting rid of anything that could take worship away from Jesus. So they say, well, we assassinated Lincoln. Well, why'd you assassinate Lincoln? Because he was too powerful. People were worshiping him. People were liking him too much. People were respecting him too much. He was too powerful. Same thing with Belushi. Same thing with Charlemagne, right? It's the same thing. The pig was something else for people to worship, to take their attention away from when Jesus comes back, right? When Jesus is presented to them again. All these other things like the floating pig, like people worshiping Jesse. Jesse being too powerful, right? These are the things that they go after to take out. So that's why that's who the people in the white suits work for. That's why they were kind of after Jesse. And then, that's why he went down with the pig. Did he have to kill everybody? No. But, like I said, that's how he gets his jollies, right? So that's just to explain a little bit about the Grail. That's the organization that ARE Star works for. Yes, he's a leader of sorts, but he's not like the supreme leader. There are people above him. But he's the go get shit done guy. The branch of the organization that he was trying out for was the go get shit done branch of the organization. The people are worshiping this, go kill that guy. People are worshiping that, go get rid of that thing, right? Okay. So now that we got ARE Star out of the way, and like I said, I'm going to do a video or a series of videos about ARE Star and about various other characters. I already did 2 of them on the Saint of Killers. You can go check those out if you want. No, I didn't spoil anything from the future of the show. The only stuff I talk about is stuff that we've seen or on the show or that we're experiencing in season 2. But from speaking to people, they got some insight out of it. So check it out if you haven't watched those videos. All right, moving on. So Tulip confronts her near-death experience, right? So this episode with Tulip is basically about her learning to deal with not being in power, right? So Tulip is someone, she's like very masculine for a woman, whereas she covets power. She wants to be top dog. She doesn't like feeling scared or weak or defenseless. And that's what the Saint of Killers did to her. When he grabbed her up by the neck and Cassidy had to come save her and get his fingers all sliced up and all that, that was the first time in her life where she felt powerless or felt like she couldn't control the situation or that she was even that close to death. And this scared her to no ends, which it leads you to the end of the episode where she goes back to the bar where they were shooting everyone in the chest in the beginning of the beginning of the episode. That's why she goes back there, to try and maintain control or regain control of her power and her toughness. And how did she do that? She let people shoot at her. Yeah, she had on a vest, but what was she doing? She's picturing the Saint of Killers while they were gunning her down. So she's kind of trying to build up an anti-fear of the Saint of Killers, and regain, like I said, that control of her life. So that's really where we were going with Tulip, and it was brilliantly written, brilliantly performed by Ruth Negga. Awesome job, as always. All right, so Dennis asked Cassidy for a major favor. We found out last week that Dennis is actually Cassidy's son, which I love so much, and I really, really, really hope we get a part of that backstory with Cassidy on maybe Dennis's mom and just how all of that came to be. Really, really intrigued by that. Hopefully we learn more. So basically, Dennis is dying. We could kind of tell he was sickly, the asthma pump and all that. And what he wants from Cassidy is for Cassidy to turn him to a vampire so he can live forever and get healthy again. And Cassidy blatantly tells him no. And the way he tells him is just awesome, because he sounds like a dad talking to his kid. And then you look at Cassidy and he is this 30-something-year-old guy, and he's talking to like a 60-something-year-old man. And it was just great. And Cassidy, he doesn't want to do it, whatever. Do I think he's going to break? I don't know, because Cassidy knows that it's not all picnic. It's not all fun and games to be a vampire. Yeah, it has its perks, has benefits, but I'm sure it has quite a bit of downfalls, like not being able to go out in the daylight and being hunted by crazy vampire hunters your whole life. So, yeah, I'm really interested to see where that goes. And then we get the great stuff where the guy's thinking Cassidy's dead. Somebody that's been in New Orleans, that's one place I haven't really frequented, especially around Mardi Gras. Tell me, do they actually have little trucks that go around scooping up drunk and dead off the streets? I mean, Mardi Gras is so crazy from what I understand. I can kind of believe that. But I don't know if that's to be true. So definitely drop that in the comments if you know if that's something that really goes on. So they pick up Cassidy thinking he's dead. He's locked inside the morgue locker, right? And and you hear him say, "Oh, not again." So this has obviously happened to Cassidy before, seeing as how he's a drunken addict and he has no pulse. I'm sure this is not the first time he's passed out on the street and someone thought he was dead and brought him to a morgue. So even funnier is that the lady says that this has actually happened before. So good stuff, good stuff. And then finally we get Jesse. And on the synopsis, it says Jesse questions the price of saving Cassidy and Tulip. I don't see that in this episode. What I see is Jesse coming to terms with the fact that he was wrong about where he thinks he can find God. That's what I got from it. Not anything about I mean, yeah, he lost his soul. And at the end, very, very end of the episode, you kind of see him reflecting on that a little bit. Like, was it worth my soul to save Cassidy and Tulip? But I don't get that through the rest of the episode. And we have him talking to a guy that I'm part thinking might have been God. The dude who was basically on the soapbox preaching about the end of the world, getting tips for beer. Now you see him talking to him at the end, and just that conversation struck me as a little strange, that maybe this guy knows a little bit more than he was letting on, and maybe he is God, or just knows where God can be found and all that. I think that might come into play in the next episode, but we'll talk about that more in the predictions video. So there wasn't really a lot to talk about with Jesse. That opening scene with him, Tulip, and Cat, the three of them together is just so engaging and so great every time, that no matter what they're doing, I enjoy it. So even if they weren't doing something hella cool, like what they were doing in the bar, taking all those people's money and faking Cassidy's death, basically, so they could rob them and then get an open bar, right? Free drinks all night. Cass and Dennis. You know, it was really, really fun just to see that whole dynamic and how Jesse played into it and all of that. We did get the sneak peek of that, you know, in last week, but still, it was nice to see it play out, right? And what's up with the floating pig? I have no idea. Don't ask. I have no idea. I don't know what made the pig float. Was it really what... I assume that was Stephen Hawking by the sound of the voice, explaining on the news show that Jesse was watching, that the water was so toxic and had so much hydrogen in it that it made like a balloon effect on the pig. And I don't know if that's true. I really should look that up and see if that's something that's actually possible. But maybe that's as simple as it was. And it didn't matter what made the pig float. It was the fact that the people were going to start worshiping it like like one of those Jesus stains on a bathroom wall or whatever that people come from miles away to see and pray to and all that. And you know, that was the point of it. And it was really just to kind of get you familiar with Air Star and the Grail and why they do the things that they do. So, you know, it was really interesting to me. I really enjoyed this episode a lot. I can't wait. And Air Star with the nibble rings and the chain, I've actually seen that in real life. And no, I'm not no swinger, no freak, no S&M guy. But I'm not going to say who or where or how I've seen it. You know, whatever. But I've actually seen that in my lifetime. And, yeah, it's creepier to see it in real life than on TV. The nipple rings with the chain connecting. But like I said, you're going to learn more about that, I'm sure, so I don't want to talk about that too much more in this video. All right, love the episode. This was one of my favorite episodes of the year because of Air Star and because of the way they handled him, the casting, the writing, and the way they handled his backstory. He's going to be a villain to remember. And believe me, you guys will love this, to hate this villain. He's a great villain. So, sound off down below. Let me know what you thought of my review of Preacher Season 7, Episode 2. Or just what you think about Preacher Season 2 in general. Anything Preacher related, hit me up in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Always appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic day. And I will... Oh, and look out on the channel for more Preacher content till the season's over, at least. Yeah, so thanks again for watching. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.